Jace sat on the charred remains of what used to be his farm, staring at the blackened soil and twisted metal. Smoke still rose from smoldering corners, curling into the cold morning sky. The fire had started in the middle of the night, devouring his barn, his equipment, and most of the crops he had worked on for years. Jace had lost his father to war, his mother to sickness, and now it seemed like even his life's work could be taken by chance. With only one arm to rely on, the task of rebuilding felt impossible. He rubbed his stump absent-mindedly, the scar still raw from an old accident, and sighed. He was a survivor, that much he knew, but survival alone didn't pay for seeds, feed, or repairs. The local authorities had taken the fire report, made some polite promises about help, and then vanished into bureaucracy. Nothing would come from them soon, and Jace had no time to wait. He had to act, even if he didn't know how. As he wandered through the ruins, he thought about the traveling trader who had visited last week. The man had spoken of unusual ways humans could improve their lives on the frontier. Jace had listened politely, skeptical, but one suggestion had lodged in his mind: ordering an alien bride. The trader had spoken in hushed excitement, describing how some alien brides brought skills, labor, and even wealth from their home planets. It sounded strange, even absurd, but in a world where fire had just stolen everything from him, strange suddenly felt like an option. Jace shook his head. An alien bride, he muttered. What would I do with one of those? He could barely feed himself, let alone another person. But the more he thought about it, the more the idea seemed less ridiculous. He wasn't looking for love or companionship. He was looking for help. Maybe this was a solution disguised as an odd tradition. Desperation made people consider the unthinkable. A week later, after paperwork, messages, and weeks of waiting, a transport vessel landed near the ruined farm. Dust and wind swirled around the landing pad, and Jace squinted against the sun. The hatch hissed open, and she stepped out. Leora. She was unlike anything he had seen before. Her skin shimmered faintly under the sun, and her eyes held a quiet intelligence. She moved with grace, yet there was a subtle strength in her posture, as if she could handle anything thrown at her. Her clothing looked light and practical, but hints of refined texture betrayed wealth. Jace studied her cautiously, unsure what to say. I am Leora, she said in a calm voice, her tone polite but firm. I have come to assist you. Jace raised an eyebrow. Assist him? He had imagined someone helpful, but not someone who carried herself like a queen walking into a kingdom of ruin. Still, he had little choice. All right, he said, his voice rough from the smoke and ash. Let's see what you can do. From the first day, Leora showed skill beyond any human farmer's experience. She assessed the ruined farm, touched the broken equipment with delicate hands, and began organizing repairs. She moved the burnt debris with remarkable precision, never complaining, never slowing down. Jace found himself both irritated and impressed. He hated to admit it, but her efficiency made his single arm feel even more inadequate. She introduced methods he had never considered. She repaired the irrigation channels in ways that conserved water far better than his old systems. She coaxed stubborn animals to eat and rest, teaching him techniques he had never learned. And every day, Jace saw her carry tools that seemed too advanced for the frontier. A small device that measured soil quality, a multi-purpose cutter that repaired metal instantly, and other things he didn't understand. What's all this? He asked one day, watching her unpack a tool that gleamed with alien technology. These are my personal tools, she said calmly. They are designed to work efficiently. You will see the farm improve faster with them. Jace felt a flicker of pride and irritation. He had worked hard for years without these tools. Was it pride or was it resentment? Probably both. Yet he could not deny the results. Within days, the foundation of the new barn was laid, and seedlings were planted with care. Even his neighbors began to notice. Rumors spread quickly. Some called him lucky. Others whispered about the alien woman, suspicious of her presence. Jace ignored the gossip. He had a farm to rebuild, and Leora was proving herself invaluable. At night, after the sun dipped behind the distant hills, Jace sat on a log while Leora checked the animals one last time. Smoke from the fire still lingered faintly in the air, and the smell of charred wood clung to everything. You're quiet tonight, she said, pausing in her work. Just thinking, he replied. It's hard not to. Everything's gone. I don't know if I can fix it all. Leora studied him carefully, her eyes softening. You have survived worse. One arm does not define you. It limits you, yes, but it also shows your strength. You are alive and you fight. That is more than many can do. Jace swallowed, surprised at the comfort in her words. She had a way of saying things that made the weight in his chest feel lighter. He realized then that survival wasn't just about working hard. It was about trusting someone to help, even when it felt uncomfortable. The days passed, and small victories added up. The barn walls were standing, seeds began sprouting, and the animals regained their strength. Jace learned to rely on Leora's advice, and gradually he felt hope returning. But there were challenges. A rival farmer, jealous of the alien woman, tried to steal their tools one night. Leora had anticipated such problems, setting simple but effective traps that captured the thief without harm. Jace realized she was not only skilled in farming but also in strategy and protection. Another evening, while checking the irrigation, Jace noticed a crate marked with symbols he didn't recognize. Leora had been discreet about her supplies, and he had not questioned her before. Curiosity gnawed at him. "What's in this?" he asked, pointing to the crate. "Supplies from my world," she said softly. "They will help the farm, but not everything is ready for use yet." Jace hesitated. He wanted to pry to know the full extent of her secret, but something in her tone warned him against it. Instead, he nodded. "All right. Whatever you say." Trust was growing between them, and Jace realized he needed it. He had lived most of his life relying only on himself. Now he was learning that asking for help and letting someone share the burden was not weakness, it was survival. One morning, as he repaired a fence with his remaining arm, he noticed Leora working with uncanny efficiency, repairing machinery that he hadn't been able to touch for years. He marveled at how someone so calm could handle such pressure. For the first time in months, he felt like the farm might survive, maybe even thrive. That evening, after a long day of work, Jace and Leora sat on the edge of the new barn, watching the sun set. The sky was painted in streaks of orange and pink, reflecting off the small, recovering fields. Silence fell between them, but it was comfortable, a shared understanding that they were partners now, facing the frontier together. Suddenly, a ship landed nearby, sending dust swirling into the cooling air. Jace squinted. A shipment had arrived, marked with the same symbols as Leora's crate. His curiosity burned. What could be inside? Leora approached, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "This is not yet for you," she said. "First, focus on what we are rebuilding together. Soon, all will be revealed." Jace wanted answers, but he trusted her. She had saved the farm from collapse, taught him to hope again, and shown him the power of partnership. Whatever secrets she carried, he realized, they would come in time. For now, he had work to do, and for the first time since the fire, he felt ready. The farm was not yet fully restored, but with Leora's guidance and his own determination, it had a future. Jace knew the road ahead would be long, with challenges both human and alien, but he felt stronger than ever. He had survived the fire, the frontier, and now he had someone by his side capable of facing whatever the universe could throw at them. As night fell, he looked at Leora, who stood quietly near the animals, her eyes reflecting the stars above. He realized that help had come from an unexpected place in the form of someone he hadn't imagined. And he understood something important. Survival was not just about strength, it was about courage, trust, and the willingness to accept the extraordinary when it came into his life. Tomorrow, the work would continue. But tonight, Jace allowed himself to feel hope. And as he finally settled into a restless but peaceful sleep, he knew that the farm and maybe even his life had a chance to bloom again. The first rays of dawn stretched across the farm, painting the newly repaired fields in golden light. Jace rose early, as was his habit, inspecting the crops and checking the animals. The farm was far from perfect, but for the first time in months it felt alive. Leora had been working silently at his side since sunrise, her movements efficient, her focus unwavering. Every corner of the property bore evidence of her skill and care. "Good morning," Jace said, his voice rough but steadier than it had been since the fire. "Good morning," Leora replied, her calm tone carrying a warmth that made the air feel lighter. "Everything seems in order. The irrigation lines are flowing correctly. The barn roof should be finished by tomorrow." Jace nodded, watching her adjust the tools with a precision that amazed him every day. Despite all he had seen from her, he still didn't fully understand the extent of her abilities. She seemed ordinary, yet extraordinary. Practical, yet full of secrets. "You know," he said slowly, "you've done more than I could have imagined. I don't even know how to thank you." Leora glanced at him, her expression unreadable but kind. "Your gratitude is enough for now. Results are the best thanks. The farm must survive. That is more important than words." Jace smiled faintly, feeling a sense of camaraderie he hadn't known in years. They worked side by side throughout the morning, repairing fences, planting new crops, and checking the livestock. Every task revealed more of Leora's talent. She was patient, methodical, and endlessly creative. Where Jace had struggled for hours, she found a simple solution in minutes. By midday, the farm began to show real progress. The barn walls were solid, the fields green with young plants, and the animals healthier than they had been in months. The neighboring farmers, who had once whispered doubts and suspicion, now stopped to watch. Some offered quiet compliments, others tentative smiles. Jace felt a flicker of pride tempered by humility. He had done his part, but without Leora, none of this would have been possible. As the sun climbed higher, a soft hum echoed across the farm. A small transport ship hovered nearby, its sleek design unfamiliar in the human frontier. Jace's curiosity flared. He had noticed the crate from Leora's world the day before, but had respected her privacy. Now the answer was arriving in full view. Leora approached him calmly, her hand resting lightly on his arm. "This is the shipment I mentioned," she said. "It contains the resources that will ensure the farm's survival. You will see the full potential soon." Jace opened his mouth, but no words came. He had expected help, maybe some advanced tools, but the sheer size of the shipment stunned him. Crates, each marked with elegant symbols, contained seeds, high-tech irrigation devices, energy generators, and storage units capable of preserving food longer than anything on the frontier. It was more than just support, it was a fortune. Leora helped him unload the crates, her calm presence easing his astonishment. As they worked, Jace finally asked, "Why? Why are you doing all this for me?" She paused, meeting his eyes. "Because I believe in potential. You have faced loss and hardship and continued to fight. That kind of determination deserves a chance. The farm deserves a chance. You deserve a chance." Jace swallowed hard, his pride clashing with gratitude. He had been trained to rely on himself, to endure silently. Now someone was offering him not just help, but a lifeline. And yet there was no demand, no expectation, just trust. Over the next few days, the farm transformed rapidly. Leora introduced systems that maximized crop growth, conserved water, and protected livestock. Her knowledge of alien agricultural techniques turned barren fields into fertile land. Jace learned quickly, adapting her methods to his own style. Together they worked like a well-oiled machine, human intuition and alien technology blending seamlessly. Word of the farm's rapid recovery spread through the frontier. Other farmers came to see the progress, some out of curiosity, others seeking advice. Jace found himself at the center of attention, something he had never wanted. But Leora remained quietly in the background, her presence commanding respect without demanding it. One afternoon, a rival trader named Marlowe arrived unexpectedly. His ship landed with a harsh roar, and he strode across the fields with a swagger that spoke of arrogance and suspicion. "I've been hearing rumors," Marlowe said, his eyes narrowing as he looked at the farm. "An alien helping a human? And with tools no one else has? You're hiding something, Jace." Jace squared his shoulders. "We're rebuilding, that's all." "You should worry about your own business," Marlowe sneered. "I don't think so. I have interests here, and I won't have outsiders interfering." "Where did she get these things?" Leora stepped forward, calm and measured. "These are my resources from my homeworld. They are legal, ethical, and intended to help the farm succeed. We have done nothing to threaten your trade." Marlowe's eyes darted between Jace and Leora, clearly frustrated that his intimidation had failed. After a tense silence, he muttered something under his breath and left, his ship disappearing into the horizon. Jace exhaled slowly. Leora had handled the situation without anger or confrontation, and he realized again how much he relied on her wisdom. With external threats temporarily averted, the farm continued to grow. Crops flourished under Leora's guidance, the animals thrived, and new systems ensured long-term sustainability. Jace marveled at the changes, not just to the farm but to himself. He had learned to trust, to accept help, and to embrace possibilities he had once dismissed as impossible. One evening, after a long day of work, Jace and Leora sat on the edge of the barn roof, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant reds and oranges. Silence stretched between them, peaceful and comfortable. "You've changed everything," Jace said quietly. "Not just the farm." "Me too." Leora looked at him, her expression softening. "You have changed too. You have adapted, learned, and fought. You have survived when many would have given up. You are not the same man who stared at ashes weeks ago." He chuckled softly. "I suppose not. But I couldn't have done it without you." "You didn't need me to survive," she replied. "You needed me to thrive. Survival is not enough for life to be meaningful." Her words sank in. Jace realized that life wasn't just about enduring hardship. It was about finding allies, embracing change, and daring to hope when the odds seemed impossible. Leora had not just saved the farm, she had reminded him of what it meant to live fully. As night fell, stars blanketed the sky. The farm, once destroyed, now gleamed under the moonlight, a testament to human perseverance and alien innovation working in harmony. Jace felt a deep sense of peace. They had faced the fire, suspicion, and uncertainty and had emerged stronger. The final challenge came unexpectedly. A massive storm approached from the east, threatening to undo weeks of work. Winds howled and rain lashed the fields. Jace fought to secure the animals, but his single arm limited him. Leora moved beside him, her hands steady and precise, coordinating tasks and reinforcing weak points. Together they battled the storm, human determination amplified by alien knowledge. By dawn, the storm had passed. The farm was battered but intact. Jace surveyed the fields, noting only minor damages, evidence that preparation and collaboration had won the day. Leora smiled faintly, her eyes reflecting both relief and pride. "You see," she said, "even nature respects careful planning and courage. Together we can face anything." Jace nodded. "Yes, together we really can." Months passed and the farm flourished. Crops thrived, livestock multiplied, and new technologies integrated seamlessly with traditional human methods. Jace became known as a visionary farmer, admired by neighbors, respected by traders, and quietly celebrated by those who had once doubted him. Leora remained at his side, her true identity now known but no longer a secret. Her wealth, once hidden, had transformed the farm and solidified their partnership. One evening, as they walked through the lush fields under the setting sun, Jace stopped. "Leora, I don't know how to thank you. You've given me everything, hope, tools, wisdom. But more than that, you've shown me the value of trust and partnership." She looked at him, her eyes calm and steady. "No thanks are necessary. Your courage and determination brought you this far. I only helped you see the path more clearly. The rest was always yours to achieve." Jace smiled, feeling a rare lightness in his chest. "I suppose. Maybe this farm isn't just mine anymore. It belongs to both of us now, and maybe that's the way it should be." Leora nodded. "It is the way it should be. Together we are stronger than we could ever be alone." As night fell, the stars twinkling over the now thriving farm, Jace felt a profound sense of gratitude. He had survived fire, loss, and isolation, but more importantly, he had learned to trust, to embrace help, and to open his life to someone extraordinary. The farm was no longer just a place of work. It was a symbol of hope, perseverance, and the incredible results possible when humans and aliens united in purpose. Under the wide frontier sky, Jace and Leora stood side by side, looking at the fields, the barn, and the animals. The farm had risen from ashes, stronger and more vibrant than ever. And in that moment, Jace understood that survival was only the beginning. Thriving required courage, trust, and partnership. The future was no longer uncertain. It was theirs to shape together, and the frontier would never look the same again.